The secret to generating millions of dollars worth of sales using outbound email is how well can you build a system that allows you to send out a high volume of messages that convert well on autopilot. Well, today I'll be sharing with you exactly how you can do that, the copy I use, even the specific softwares that I deploy in order for you to run this process. Hey guys, my name is Lloyd Yip, and I help my clients build sales systems that flood their calendar with qualified sales calls and overall massively improve their revenue. So in the last few years, I've had the luck to work with over 120 plus companies around the world. So what I'll be sharing with you today is based on what I've actually seen work for them, as well as myself in my own business. All right, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is just walk you through the individual steps that you're gonna need to take in order for you to create this $1 million outbound campaign, which is going to be mostly running on autopilot. The first step is that you need to find your contact data. Obviously, if you don't have data or prospects to even reach out to, your campaign isn't going to be getting anywhere fast. So I do want to first say that before you just try to find a bunch of emails, it is really important that you take the time to really understand what is your ideal client. Because I would argue that the most important element of a successful campaign, long before you even talk about copy or automations, is actually going after the right contacts who likely have the specific pains that you can solve for, who likely have the specific goals that you can help them overcome and achieve. For example, let's say your offer is a software that helps mid-sized companies hire more easily. Well, if that's the case, you're going to want to make sure that all the people that you're finding are A, a mid-sized company, and B, that they are currently in the middle of trying to hire. Because if you can account for those specific data points, then you're much more likely to be able to actually get a response given your messaging. So that's why it's so critical that you try to find appropriate prospects to go after. That's when you can start seeing some really awesome results. So how do you actually go about doing that? Well, there's a couple different ways. And the first method I would actually recommend is using LinkedIn Sales Navigator. This is actually a premium version of LinkedIn, and it allows you to essentially identify your ideal prospects through using their parameters, such as the size of the company, such as the geography that the prospect is located in, and many other parameters. So you can actually look at some of the saved searches that I've made in the past, and I can go down to a geography, a company size, an industry, and a job title, and then I can find 1,000 prospects that meet my particular criteria for what I think is a solid lead. Now, once you do this, you still need to extract the email and any other relevant information for the actual outreach. I actually have another video that talks extremely in-depth, step-by-step, about how you can actually go through Sales Navigator and extract the emails out of it. So check it out here if you haven't already. Now, one other tool that I could recommend if you're trying to identify prospects and get emails is Apollo.io. They're a really nifty tool because not only will they allow you to use similar search criteria as LinkedIn, such as company size or job title or location, but you can even start finding things such as what technologies are they using. For example, if they're using HubSpot or Salesforce, they actually have the ability to cross-reference in their database which companies are most likely using those tools. Other things that you could search on is, are they currently hiring? For example, you can look at this job posting section where you can actually identify who they're hiring for and how many people they're trying to hire. Another one is how much revenue they're generating per year, as well as how much funding have they received. And the nice thing here is that Apollo will actually give you emails and phone numbers just within the software alone, whereas Sales Navigator, you actually have to go through this additional process to extract the emails out of the software. So those are a couple different ways in which you can actually build these prospecting lists, which you can then put into your actual email campaign. Now, the second step here is creating the messaging. So I'm going to quickly share with you the messaging that actually I use. And by the way, if you want to download this for yourself so that you can use it as inspiration for when you write your own copy, you can actually just get the download link in the description box below. So let me first go through the process. There's actually going to be 3 emails in the email campaign that I typically use. Reason why it's not just one email is because, frankly, over 60% of your meetings will be not booked by your first email, but by your follow-ups. This is often because people don't actually see every single email that's coming through to their inbox. So with email 1, your subject line is going to be a personalized comment or question about their company. A pretty generic email subject line that I've used, which has been able to consistently get me over 50% open rate, has been just question for you, Bob or Nancy or Sarah. And the reason why this works incredibly well is because it invokes curiosity. What is the question that this person has for me? So that's one that you could for sure use, but my recommendation is if you can actually do something a little bit more personalized, or it's a specific question about their company or their LinkedIn bio, that will typically convert even better. Now, once you arrive at the body, you want to start off by just having a personalized comment, which shows you've done the research and that it's incredibly relevant to them. So what you can do is reference something that you've noticed about their LinkedIn profile or about their company website or about their industry, or just something that will show them that you've actually done a little bit of research and that you understand where they're coming from. You don't want to be pitching in this first line because realistically, because someone can actually see the first 10 to 15 words of your email without even clicking into your email, if they see that you're just trying to pitch right away, they're most likely not going to even open it. And that's why if you actually show that you've done a little bit of research and you say something personalized in that first line, it just generally speaking works a lot better. Now, the next thing that you want to do after that first sentence is to justify why you even reached out in the first place and show them that you actually understand what their pains are. I like to just say, hey, the reason for my email is, and then I'll inject what it is that I think they're struggling with that we could probably help with. For example, let's say you sell SEO services and you specialize in helping plumbers rank. Well, you could actually message a prospect and say, hey, the reason why I reached out is because I know that you're trying to grow your plumbing business, but when I Googled Wisconsin plumbers, your company didn't actually show up at all, which means you're missing out on a lot of sales. If you actually reach out with an example such as this, of course, you're going to be able to captivate someone's attention because you're calling out a specific problem that they're probably going through. Now, the next step is then how you can help. For example, you could say, we actually help plumbers rank in Google on the top page in order for them to generate significantly more clients. This actually brings full circle the pain that you had called out earlier, and now they understand that you can provide a specific solution. And if you can actually offer guarantees or things that'll even mitigate risk with them working with you, you can even put them here. For example, hey, if we aren't able to generate you 20 clients in the first month, then we'll work for you for free. Whatever you can say here to make it so that your claim is even more powerful and attractive for your prospect to then jump on. Then finally, you want to have a call to action. And the way that I do this is I just pretty much ask for a call, and maybe I'll provide them a calendar booking link so that it's more easy. If you are going to be just asking for a call and you have no calendar link, just make sure that you say, hey, specifically Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever time, so that it's easy for them to just quickly look at their calendar and say yes or no. Because what I've noticed is if you just ask, hey, what day or what time is good for you, for the most part, they're just not going to answer because they don't want to actually go through their calendar and try to find an empty booking spot for you. Now, here's a quick example of the first email. Hey, first name, I was recently poking around your LinkedIn, saw that you wrapped up your first full year running your company. Congrats. So that's your personalization line. Reason why I reached out is because a lot of early stage founders similar to you have a hard time building a sales playbook that consistently generates pipeline, right? So this is shouting out the specific problem. This is one additional sentence that talks about an issue that they might have, which is, hey, yeah, they're often over-reliant on word of mouth, on finding their own network. So once you've identified the problem, then you can shout out how you can assist and help, right? I help SaaS and consulting firms who sell high-ticket services build systems so that they can generate an extra $500K to $1 million in annual revenue in an automated way. So that's how I can add value. Can I share how you can do the same this Wednesday over a quick call? And if I wanted, I could even include the calendar link here, right? So this is a really good example of an email that would meet the criteria of what I showed. And actually, I can share with you an email that I literally just got yesterday that I thought was one of the best emails that I've ever seen. So As you guys know, I have a YouTube channel, and you've probably also seen a lot of YouTube creators these days creating YouTube Shorts. Now, I don't actually have YouTube Shorts. Not only that, I don't have any Instagram Reels or TikToks or any of that stuff. So that's the context in which I got this email. So you can actually see here, Benaya, she messages me, her first sentence is, I watched your video on your YouTube channel about how to hire an appointment setter. It was really insightful, exactly what I needed. And these tips have helped me set up meetings with top-notch candidates for appointment setting. The fact that she identified one of the videos that I did in fact create and that she pretty much talked about the value that it could give means that she did the research, which immediately captures my attention. I'm really impressed already. Now, the reason why she's reaching out is because she checked out my Instagram and she loves my song covers. Once again, shows that she did the research. I do have, in fact, song covers on my Instagram channel. But then she actually says, hey, I noticed that you aren't actually repurposing your YouTube videos into short clips for Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts or TikTok, which is all true. My Instagram is only my personal content. I have no short form content. And then she just says, hey, you could actually be growing quite a lot faster if you're just posting short form videos every single week. And that's exactly what we do. I can send you samples of my work, you can take a look and reply back. And then I even like that on her PS, she has some social proof where she's essentially helped other famous YouTubers with millions of followers generate these shorts. So for me, I actually was very interested because this so happens to be something that I am trying to evaluate. But for me, I just love the way in which they constructed this email. It's pretty much a perfect email. So in this second email, the goal is to provide a little bit more context to who it is that we are and how we can help. So the first thing that we want to do in the intro is show a bit of personalization again, maybe give a very quick summary of what it is that we do. But here is really where the value is, where you're going to want to provide some customer testimonials, maybe share a little bit of your track record, and then you want to end off with a call to action. What I like to do in particular is when it comes to providing a call to action, I like to actually frame the call to be in their benefit. I don't want to just be like, hey, let's jump on a call and I can just sell you a bunch of my stuff. It's more about trying to frame the call in a way which is actually helpful to them, such as, hey, I know that you have a problem of X, Y, and Z. On this call, we can actually talk about how you can overcome those specific problems. So here is like a full example of the second email. So first name, I know that you're probably strategizing on how you can hit your new revenue goals this year. A big part of that is, of course, you're trying to generate new leads inbound, which isn't just based on manual outreach. So that's actually what we can do. Our clients are able to achieve these results. I would love to give you some recommendations on the call of how you can do the same. No pitch, just adding value. Would Tuesday work? So once again, sharing a little bit of evidence and then talking about how the call can be in their benefit. And then in the PS here, we actually add some content which might be able to teach them, show them that we're truly experts in what we do, a little bit additional social proof as well, and maybe that might actually help us book the call. So the final email that we'll provide in this series, and we really treat this more like a Hail Mary or last-ditch effort type of email. Like I said earlier, just being persistent is always going to be good. You don't want to be giving up too early, but more than 3 emails and you might risk making someone a little bit angry or annoyed that you're messaging them so much. So once again, this entire sequence and copy you can use as inspiration. Just go to the description box below and you can download it, okay? Now, overall, I will say that the more you personalize your messaging, the higher the conversion rate is going to be. For example, Benaya here, she clearly spent a good amount of time actually personalizing this copy. And for that, she was rewarded a meeting. Another way that you can improve your personalization is you can use a tool such as Vidyard or Loom in order to send out personalized video. And the way that I would do this is just quickly make a minute-long maximum pitch that goes through a very similar structure as what I shared with you in the written copy earlier. But the fact that they can actually hear your voice and see your face does oftentimes make a difference. Now, the more personalization you end up using, whether it be in written copy or in personalized video, the harder it is for you to fully automate it all with software. And that's where having a little bit of human intervention is going to be helpful. So internally for us, we actually hire appointment setters who can write the copy in a little bit more of a personalized way. They can send out custom videos for the prospects, and they can do things that software simply cannot do. So if you're actually curious of how you can deploy an appointment setter for your own business in order to improve your personalization and increase your conversion rate, then just click in the video right above, and we actually have a full in-depth guide on exactly how you can do that. Now, the third step is you want to deploy this messaging at scale. So we just worked pretty hard on, of course, creating your copy. But if we want to be able to launch this to a lot of people, realistically, we're going to need some software to help us out. Now, the tool that I like to use to start deploying my emails to my ideal clients is called Reply. And Reply is really cool because it allows me to essentially create these fully automated campaigns where on day one, it could send out the automated message for me. And then on day 3, if there's no reply, it can continue to follow up for me in a completely automated way. Not only that, it provides a really nice user-friendly UI UX. It gives me all the metrics so I can find out how my campaigns are performing. It can provide me an inbox where I can very quickly see who's interested and who's not, and then I can even reply to them directly inside this tool instead of needing to go into my email to actually do it. And essentially the way that you would deploy this technology is first you would go and you would build a brand new campaign. So you can build one from scratch, and you can actually just use the steps that I gave you earlier with the email copy. So you can pretty much just copy and paste this in directly into Reply. You can add sequence steps. You can actually see here, not only can you do email steps, but you can even do SMS steps, WhatsApp steps, and even LinkedIn messages. So it's really great. So you can just create those multiple steps. You can define what day you want each of these steps to fire out, and then it'll just run in a fully automatic manner. Now, if this is a tool that you think could be helpful for yourself, then just go down below into my description box, and I actually have a link where you can sign up for a free trial yourself. Now, the fourth step in this process is you want to be scaling this campaign across multiple accounts. The problem is, the more emails you send out to your prospects, the more likely that your deliverability is going to go down. Because Google and all of these messaging servers, if they see you sending out thousands of messages a day, a week, a month, they're going to start thinking that you're doing kind of suspicious activity. Once they start noticing that you're sending out a very high volume of messages, they'll start throttling your account, and more of your messages will start going to spam. And that's why we got to take some precautions in order to make sure that our deliverability is still very high. So how do you ensure that your deliverability stays high? Well, there's a couple things. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure that your domain that you're sending the emails out of is incredibly healthy and optimized. So how do you optimize your domain? The easiest thing that you can do is essentially set up your SPF and your DKIM records. Now, this can get a little bit technical. You need to go into your domain management. So the easiest way that I would recommend you do this is just go to Fiverr and essentially find someone that could do this for really cheap. They'll essentially just go into your Cloudflare or your Google Domains account or your GoDaddy, wherever your domain is hosted, and they'll actually just toggle a couple switches, and immediately your email is going to have a much higher deliverability rate. And I would seriously recommend that you do this, because if you don't, you're going to be definitely heading into spam folders a lot more often. Now, the second thing that I would do is I would actually have multiple email accounts. And the reason why is because you don't want to have a single email account which is sending out hundreds of emails a day. Because even if your email domain is really dialed in, your SPF and your DKIM and all that type of stuff, the reality is, if you have a single email account which is still sending out 100 emails, if not more a day, it's going to still look a little bit suspicious. So that's why I would say per email, it's better that you lower the sending to 50 a day, maximum. And you can even see that inside my account here, where both of my emails that have been attached are sending at maximum 50 a day. And once it hits 50, it just stops until the next day arrives. And that's why it's actually better to just have multiple email accounts running at the same time. So if you want to be sending 100 or 200 or 500 emails a day, you're just going to be doing it from multiple email accounts. And that's a really cool thing about Reply, that you can actually have multiple email accounts attached, and then you can essentially have all of your campaigns being split across multiple email accounts so that none of them are going over volume and potentially damaging your deliverability. Now, one thing that you want to be conscientious of is that over time, as you send out lots and lots of emails from any domain, that domain will get weaker. And that's because tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of emails, you're gonna get a certain number of people saying that you're spam, and this is gonna overall hurt your domain health as time progresses on. So if your primary domain is really important to you and you don't want to damage it, then it might be a wise idea for you to just simply not email out of your primary domain. And that's why it might be good for you to come up with a secondary domain or a third domain or a fourth domain and be actually doing the email sending out of rather than your primary domain. For example, if my primary domain is attractandscale.io, then I wouldn't use that as my actual sending domain. I'll keep attractandscale.io alone. I won't send any mass email out of it. And then I'll just create attractandscale.com. I'll create attractandscale.co. I'll create attractandscale.net and have all of my email accounts be emailing out of those secondary and tertiary domains rather than my main domain so that I can keep my overall domain health really, really strong. So that's essentially how you can actually create this $1 million email campaign. And to summarize, these are the 4 steps, right? You want to first find that contact information. Then you want to create the messaging that you're going to be deploying for the prospects. Then you want to actually use automation tools to deploy that messaging. And then finally, you want to make sure that your domains and your email accounts are scalable so that you can do this at true volume. So if this was fascinating to you, we actually have another video here that's all about how you could also automate LinkedIn outreach so that you can generate qualified meetings using that platform as well. Now, if you're actually looking to improve your own outreach, your own outbound marketing campaigns, maybe you even want to build sales teams, then maybe it makes sense for you to actually book a chat with us. We've been able to help a ton of clients. For example, Fernando here, he's been able to scale to over $100,000 per month with his agency. Chris as well, he runs a consulting business and he's been able to scale over 6 figures a month using our tactics. And Ria here, we actually helped her build out a sales team that has enabled her to generate nearly 6 figures per month as well in profit. So if that's something that you would want to learn more about and you want to get a couple recommendations directly from us of how you can implement some of those systems for your own business, then book a call below. My calendar link is actually in the description box, and I look forward to seeing you soon. And by the way, here's a couple additional videos here that you might find helpful. Cheers.